Welcome, world, to Life, Love, and Wellness Global, a worldwide wellness movement. I am Reverend Sandy Rodgers, and as the creator of this historic event, it is my pleasure to welcome you. We come together to bring you this historic event. We have practitioners, holistic practitioners. We have medical doctors, we have spiritual individuals. This event is so lovingly dedicated to my mother, Mrs. Barbara Dean Brown. And my mother taught me like 40 plus years ago about the importance and the meaning behind herbs. And she would always say, we don't know what they putting in those pills, so you better not, get hooked on prescription drugs. And so we listened to Mom, but not all of us paid attention. My sister, bless her heart, was diagnosed recently thereafter with asthma, and she was prescribed prednisone, which is a very powerful steroid. And my sister actually got hooked on steroids, like someone out on the street kind of hooked, like on heroin or crack or something like that. And so my mom and my sister are both on the other side, living in the other dimension, but they're upholding me, and this is dedicated to their memory. So we don't want to come and make you change your mind about what you're doing. We just want to provide information to you, something different, so that you have options to choose from, so that you're not stuck. Because the environment that we now live in, the fast foods, the toxins in the air that we breathe and in the water that we drink, and the processed foods, and all of that is causing havoc on this precious body temple. So God created our bodies to heal themselves, but they can only heal themselves when they're fed and they're nourished and they're stress-free. And so the 60 or so or more experts that we have are bringing you this worldwide wellness movement in an attempt to share their testimonies and their information with you. So we have from age 14 on up. I don't even know what the oldest age is. I think 88 or something. So you see, that's a wide range of knowledge that we're bringing you. And so we hope that you come and that you get all the knowledge that you need to affect a positive change on your life, and share this with others. It's free, it's online, and so we're just so thankful that you decided to be a part of our listening community, the viewing community, and we certainly appreciate you for giving us your time of day and your energy and your efforts to being with us and to being a part of this historic event. We have pulled together people of color for you, by you, right? So we want to make sure that you understand that we too, melanated people with color, can enjoy, practice, and participate in some of these modalities that others have been doing for centuries, and that is pretty new to our community. So we talk about Qigong, we talk about meditation, yoga, spiritual work from a different perspective than religion. So we talk about the spirituality aspect. We talk about abuse in the families. We talk about all kinds of subjects because we know that in our communities there are layers and layers and layers and layers of stuff that we never talk about that's causing a negative effect on our bodies and its healing process. So we address it, whatever it is, and we hope that you will benefit from the many experts that we have, and that you walk away with lots of knowledge and lots of new information, and that you become fully empowered to share information with others. So thank you for being with us. We love you and we bless you, and we look forward to doing this again. But thanks for being here with the first one. We appreciate you.
Life, love, and wellness. Life, love, and wellness.
Welcome to Life, Love, and Wellness Global, a worldwide wellness movement. We're thankful that you're with us and joining us to share his expertise, his passion and compassion for your health and your wellness is Dr. B. Sirius. So Dr. B, would you kindly introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Well, my name is Dr. B. Sirius. I'm an herbalist. I am an ontologist, a part of metaphysics, and we help people become more of who they'd like to become.
I remember my first introduction to you. I brought a young man, 19, maybe 18, 19 years old, that had just been diagnosed being HIV positive.
Mm-hmm.
And what impressed me so, you were in Los Angeles, and I'm from Los Angeles, and so I was returning there to help this young man. And the first thing you asked of him was, do you want to live?
And that's the big question. What do you desire? Because we are creating self-fulfilling prophecies with our words, which is spelling. What is the spell? What is the spin? What would you like? Because we know what you would not like, what you're going through, your symptoms, whatever they're calling it. But what would you like? Because we need a destination. Once we have a destination and you're sure you would like that destination, then we can map out a path. But until we have that, if you're just floating in the ocean, there's nothing that we can do to assist you with getting to that place of manifestation.
And how easy is that for people to put words to what they ultimately want to see their life look like?
Well, it's a challenge many times because we're taught the language of struggle. We're taught the language of disempowerment. We learned it through our parents, through our community, through the way that we were taught to convey our words. But when we shift that to only speaking of what we desire, your cells, right? The monoatomic particles in your body, the metaphysics of your being co-conspires with the universe, your ancestors, the cosmos, your angels, or whatever it is, the creator of all, to bring that to be. So it is a challenge because folks usually talk about the problem, and they almost go blank when you ask them, well, what would you like? It's like even when you ask folks how much money would you like, they always mention $1 million. I said, well, that's only $500,000 after you get rid of, after you pay the taxes. So what is it that you truly desire? If you truly, desire to be healthy, wealthy, and wise, let's speak those words, send that out. And then we can begin to put in place the ways of eating, the ways of living, the ways of walking, the ways of talking, because it's a path, or what they call in the Asian countries, they call it a Tao. I think it's Chinese. The Tao, your path. What is the path that you're on? And a lot of us, because of our language, the way we eat, the way we live, our lifestyle creates a pathology. So we're creating a pathology based on what you've ended up with, based on how you're living. But you create a path or a Tao when you are focused and sure, and you eat, in accordance with that goal. You live, you breathe, you mate, everything you do. Every single day, you're moving towards that goal no matter what, and you never give up.
You make it sound simple, and I'm sure people are looking and listening and saying, no, it just can't be that easy.
It is not easy, but it is simple. It is not easy because we're challenged. We've been programmed by a way of thinking and living. You see, that subconscious is the automatic mind. It's a machine. It doesn't think. It takes everything you're saying and ties it with the vibration, the energy, the emotion of what you're saying. So if you're stuck to it, this energy, this emotion, it takes that word vibration and says, make it happen. If you could change that by having new habits each day. So that's where affirmation comes in play. Saying what it is you truly desire each day. And even in affirmation, we have to make sure we don't mention the problem. I was talking to a very famous person. I don't want to say the name because everybody knows him. And I coach a lot of folks who are big. And He says, Dr. B, I get up every morning and I say, I beat cancer. I beat diabetes. I beat heart disease. And he goes down the list. And I say, don't you ever say that again. He was like, well, what do you mean? I says, you're affirming the problem. Your mind is programmed in a way to take notice of the biggest vibration. And those words are huge. Let's just say, I'm healthy. He says, well, don't we need more than that? No. Simple. Now, it's challenging to do that because we're used to talking too much. Why do we talk too much? We're insecure. We want to make it seem like we know stuff. We want to seem intelligent in a certain way to impress people. I know a lot of things. The wisest people I've worked with, very quiet. They might say one sentence. That's it. One word. Like, shut up. One of my, Dick Gregory, we'd be together and he'd just be like, Dr. B, shut up. He'd use other words. Sometimes he'd use some curse words. I'm like, well, what does that mean? He says, you're talking too much. I wasn't even talking. He says, in your head. Too much. So we need more. We need less. More less. So we eat too much. If we eat less, you'll live longer. You see, if you speak less, cut it down to very simple statements and be very direct, you'll receive more. So if you say, I would like to create wellness, all you got to do is shift that. I am feeling better and better each day. Just keep saying that, and that vibration begins to tell your cellular structure to heal. But if every time you go to the doctor, they mention your problem again. I remember my doctor didn't even know what was wrong with me half the time. He'd have to get out the chart and look at me and say, oh yeah, that's right. So how's your such and such? So you didn't even know what was wrong with me. And he come in limping, well, what's wrong with you? You don't look like this don't look too good. You and the nurse out there, y'all coughing and sneezing and you know what I'm saying? So what we have to do is be very direct and be the captain of the ship. Our vessel it's a ship. It's a spaceship. They call it the Merkaba. This is your spaceship. If you're the captain, you got to watch out for pirates. You got to look for leaks. You got to look for lazy crew members. Do you understand what I'm saying? And some of your friends, let them get on the boat and they brought cargo. And half that cargo downstairs is not even yours. So half your memories, your feelings about things, and your judgments are not yours. Even what you feel about disease. When the doctor told me I had a very short time to live, I was nervous. I mean, he's got on a white coat. He got degrees on the wall. I'm like, oh, what? How much? Like, he didn't have no Bible. He didn't have no Quran. He didn't have no beads. He didn't have cowrie shells. He didn't have nothing. But he's going to tell me that I got a short time to live. Well, he died like a year and a half later. That was 30-something years ago. Because I walked out and didn't realize he was practicing medicine, right? He was treating the disease, giving it, treating it good. He was into maintaining illness in my mind. And the drugs that they were going to give me was going to take me out anyway. I said, well, let's just try this without the drugs. And that's what got me into searching for natural things. Because I was very wealthy. I said, look, I got $500,000 in a suitcase. He was like, there's nothing that we can do at this particular time but keep you comfortable. I've been comfortable. That's what happened. These comfort foods is what got me here. You want to give me some more Oreo chicken? Oreo chicken. You know what I'm saying? You want to give me this stuff to keep me comfortable in the microwave and all of these things, which is actually making life seem simple, but it becomes complex. You see? So it's about finding a way or a Tao, a path that is a rhythm. Simplicity is the way. Stop trying to know so much. See, we got so much knowledge available to us now with Google. You feel like you're doing it. You're conscious now. Everybody's conscious. The maniac down the corner is conscious about his maniacism. The newsman is conscious about he's putting a spin on this information that you think really happened. It didn't happen. It's about commercials, selling commercials. It's about a show. It's about Hollywood. You see? So once you are very intentional, and then you need to have intensity with your intention every day, because you're going to wake up and forget. Like I said this morning, I woke up, I didn't know who I was. And I had to remember, wait a minute, okay, what am I here to do? And I said, oh, I got to exercise. I got to do this. I got to eat that. Don't eat this over here. Even though I could smell some food next door because there was barbecue and the whole neighborhood smelled like smoke. And that took me back to family, you know, love. Oh my God, grandma, barbecue. This, you know what I'm saying? Because we're caught into the rhythm of what we think is family, what we think is love. There's people who call love abuse because they were abused as a child. And when they get in a relationship, if you're not abusing them, they'll cause you to, because they call that love. You're in the hospital with your arm broke. Well, you know, he loves me. You ain't gonna call the cops? Well, no, I wouldn't do that. That's because somebody else was abusing you. So when you get into that rhythm, you get into that music, the sad song becomes your life. You see what I'm saying? Then you go eat some food that's been abused. You eat some animals. They beat these animals. When I found out they take the pigs and put kerosene on them and light them and let them run around, I was like, well, why do y'all do that? They said, well, it burns the hair off. It brings up the adrenaline and softens the flesh. What? People don't know this. So then you're eating that as a celebration of family, as a celebration of love. I'm hungry. Lady told me yesterday, Dr. B, we gotta do our consultation later because I'm hungry. I'm dying. She mentioned she was dying. And she was gonna go to this place and get this cake to die for. She mentioned dying almost every other sentence. So you are moving towards that by creating that vibration. You are very attractive. You're magnetic and you're attracting what you put out as a spell. English is the only language that's called spelling. Spelling. Who created it? The British didn't speak this. They created this to put a spell on people. They use words from different people, put it all together for banking, and war. We talk about worshipping. Why do you need to worship? Worship. That's what the subconscious hears. You see what I'm saying? Are you worthy? I'm worthy. Are you war? It's a fight. The job is a fight. I gotta fight. My father always told me it's gonna be tough out there. It's a struggle to survive. It's gonna be a struggle to keep a wife. It's gonna be a struggle to be a parent. It's a struggle to go to college. I'm struggling. I was in college. That's why I only stayed 2.5 weeks. Because I said it's a struggle. I'm nervous up in here. These people look like warriors. I'm nervous. I left when George Clinton went on the road. And I was, oh wow, this is cool. Then I found out that was a different situation because I didn't know who I was because the bus was full of this smoke and that's a whole other situation. But we get caught up in the rhythm of ways of eating and living, and we call it love. You see, true love is when you look deep in yourself and figure out who you are without all this stuff. Who would you be without anything? You see, and it's almost challenging to do. It's very challenging to do that because if you could lose your mind, if you could lose your mind for 48 hours, your whole life would change. If you didn't know who you were, they found out people who have amnesia for more than a year, and if they had heart disease, cancer, many serious diseases, incurable, if they have amnesia for more than a year, they don't have the disease anymore because they can't remember it. Remember to put it back together. If you could remember to get up and drink some water, put a little salt, a little lemon in your water every day. If you could remember to do that before you go to bed. If you could remember to hydrate your body. If you could remember to rest well. If you could remember that most of what people are telling you is gossip. You weren't there. You were not there. You heard about it. Oh no, it's true because the brother was from Africa and he had a kufi on. So now you got more stress. What if you didn't know that? What if you didn't know any of it for just 48 hours? You would still eat. You'd still like to go to the bathroom. You still feel love. You're still attracted to someone. But you wouldn't have the rest of this stuff. So part of what I do is called subconscious alignment. It helps people relabel the folders in their head about things. So instead of my father was never there, and when he did come around, he beat my mother and blah, 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 blah. But here you are driving a brand new car, you got a big time job and you're doing it in life. Well, why don't we change that to my father challenged me to be great. He showed me the opposition. I use that as a springboard because we've become a little weak. Words hurt us. What do I care that the man called me some N-words? The man called me, I was in LA a couple weeks ago. And the man threw up his finger, yelled off something. I looked at him and I said, I just mouthed, I love you. He looked at me and he grabbed the steering wheel. Then I pulled up on the next light, at the next light with him. He was looking at me. Then the third light, he took off quick because he felt like something had been done to him. All I did was take what you did and convert it. You don't even know what those words mean. We get caught up in what the words mean. Then we get caught up in what we think the food is. It is half of the food is Franken food. They created it. Chickens are not natural. You don't find no chickens out in the woods. I've been in the woods everywhere. I've never seen a chicken. I've never seen a white goat, a white sheep. I've never seen a brown and white cow in the woods. So where they come from? They're hybridized, they're crossbred, they're man-made. They're not natural. You see, there is a natural bird that's like what you call a chicken. There is an original cow. That's the ones that's in that bullfight. You see, they ain't going for this. You ain't taking no milk. They're going to fight to the death. Do you see what I'm saying? There is real mountain goats, but you're not going to mess with them. You see what I'm saying? So these domesticated things that we're eating keep you domesticated in your head because you're ingesting the vibration of domestication. You're using a language that's about domestication. Then you got this thing you call family. That's my family. I got a whole lot of family. I got one of the biggest families in the northeast of America. A lot of folks, I can't relate with them. What happened to you going to the funeral? No, I'm not going to the funeral. Why? I'd like to remember the person as they were alive. I don't need to see them laying there. You see, the most recent funeral I went to was Dick Gregory's, and that was a celebration for 3 days. And he was laying in the casket, smiling. Seemed like he looked over at me, slapped my hand. I said, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because he was living. And he chose the moment of leaving here. He chose it. They said, Mr. Gregory, we could take you across the street and fix you. He was like, you're going to cut me? No. He called his wife and said, I'm done. And smiled, took a deep breath, and left. Because how you live, right, has a lot to do with where you're going to end up. How you live. If you knew how you got to where you're at, would you change the course? You see, you have the power to change the course. You're the captain. You're the navigator. We let GPS tell us everything. You see what I'm saying? What happened to those old maps? Maps that folded out, it's all on the dashboard. You sit down at the picnic table at the rest area, mapping it out. Or you get, AAA, they put the little orange line across so you can get across. Now it was GPS. GPS had me lost sometimes. I'm like, well, GPS, we passed the place 3 blocks back. Turn around now. Because we let these other things, you see, this is what they call AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence didn't start with computers. Artificial intelligence was the stuff you've been fed as a child that was not based on facts. That's artificial intelligence. It sounds good, it's strong. It was in a book. He wrote 6 books. I couldn't care if he wrote 6 books. Most books I open it to 1 page. I said, this is for me. This is Dr. B, you must have lots of books. In fact, I'm cleaning up in my place now. I got so many books. It's unbelievable how many books I have. What are all these books for? I don't read most of them. They look good if I'm doing a video and they're behind me. And that's artificial intelligence. People go, oh, he's real read, well read. Some of them books, I did a lot of work in Hollywood. This is fake. They got a whole fake bookshelf. So what I'm saying is the real intelligence is in every cell. When you sit down to eat that piece of food, if you learn about grace, Grandma told me, don't just eat, sit there for a minute. If you don't do nothing, just be quiet and breathe. Then something will say, don't eat this. Every time you eat this, you get hives. Every time you eat this, your back aches. Every time you eat this, you don't use the toilet for 3 days. It'll tell you your own internal divinity code, which is in every cell of everybody. You ain't got to have a necktie. You ain't got to go to some school. Everybody has this. If you could forget for a minute all that stuff that you learned, that you call intelligence, and just be in the moment and use your God-given, what they call it? Knowing, their gut feeling. You just know. But a lot of us don't have that gut feeling no more. We don't know what the gut says. I'm hungry. I got to go to the chicken spot. That's what the gut say. but you have to not eat for a while and drink good water. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna make love out of the things that are not love. You see what I'm saying? So we're involved in intercourse every day by meeting every second and joining with that second. Every second is intercourse. Well, what do you desire? You see, we have to choose what it is we desire. Even when you sit down with your mate or you met somebody, I don't care if it's like Luther Vandross said, only for one night. What do you choose to create? You're about to create something. We're not talking about the baby. We're talking about the idea. You might stop and say, look, we need a $50 million building on an island with a blah, 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 in a garden, or we need a village. Can we create that? And both of you focus on that. Drink a little water. Now get busy, right? Get busy what? Creating what you desire. When you eat your food, this is intimate. What do you desire? So if you're thinking about all the diseases that are in the world that they keep telling you about every year, I remember the year I was sitting watching television. I move my legs sometimes, and they said something about restless leg syndrome. I was like, oh, this is a disease? I got a disease? What is the medicine they got? What is it? Ankle off? Your legs don't move at all now. Now, is that good? You can't walk? You're hobbling now? You don't know how you got this? Because you took that medicine. It was no problem with you moving your legs. That means go get busy. You need to be doing something. So you get these little signals every single day to tell you what to do. But you have to know the universal God. The universal God is in everything. It's in the plants, it's in the herbs. The herbs are for the healing of the nation. We could just stop right there. The seeds, right? That's your food. The fruits and vegetables is meat. Now meat is pork chops and ham. Do you know this week, this is deep. This is ham week. Do you know how many hams people are eating? Because this is supposed to be the Easter weekend. I was in the store myself. The lady had 9 hams. I counted. All she had, the only vegetable she had was some cloves. 9 hams. 2 carts. The children had 1. This is ham week. I thought your book said something about not eating ham. What is this about? Well, when Christ came, he said we could eat ham. Show it to me. I'm a doctor of metaphysics. I had to look at it all. I need to see where that's at. I don't see it. You made that up. So you got into that rhythm, and that's your habit now, because that's family. Because Auntie such and such is coming over and they like ham, and these people like this. So you have to be able to break free of all of that, and it takes courage. It takes determination. It's not easy, but it is simple to get off the road you've been on. How did you get here? If it's a pathology, it was a path to get you there. You see? So when people talk about a dis-ease, I'm saying things are not easy, right? It's a dis-ease because you're out of balance. What did you do? What did you do before you came here? I could smell Popeyes on you. Well, doctor, I just figured I know you was gonna say not eat it, so I just went on and had it now. You see what I'm talking about? Well, I'm doing the Daniel fast. People doing the Daniel fast, and they tell me, Dr. B, I'm doing the Daniel fast. I can't wait till I get off. When they get off, they eat more junk. They microwave more food than they ever would have done if they didn't do the fast. Because they want to get it off of it. It's a fast. They want to get off it as quick as possible. It's fast. Fast food. Fast life. You need a faster internet. You need to talk faster. You like the person that talks the fastest. The fast talker. It's too fast. Slow down. Take some time. Breathe 5 times before you make a choice. You don't have to go along with everything because it sounds great. If it don't feel good, you don't do it. But you need space between you and all your thoughts. Clear your mind for a second and breathe. Take your shoes off and put your naked feet on the ground. Go grab a tree. Dr. B, I ain't got time for all that. What, then you gonna live? I'm telling you what to do. It's simple. It's simplicity. It's simplicity. You see people come to me talking about they want to fall in love. Why you want to do that? Love hurts, right? You heard that? Love hurts. It's a struggle to find somebody to love. If you love yourself every day and you eat like a lover, you act like a lover, you meet somebody, you're going to know instantaneously. Also about you got to get to know them. That's not love. That's like a lot. Now you know they gave you enough information. You've seen enough good shoes and meals and things. Oh, they must be good. I went to his house. He got degrees all over the wall. How many degrees did he have? He had 12 degrees. It takes 360 degrees to make a circle. It's got to be a natural flow. So for us to get back to that natural flow, that will cause us to create a new vibration, and that the vibration will be devoid of cancer, devoid of diabetes, devoid of heart disease, devoid of high blood pressure, devoid of craziness, because you're living within the law of nature and you're the captain of your ship. And who is the captain over you? Who is the president? The universal God. And you're sitting there vibing, you're feeling it. I choose not to eat. You can go to the Thanksgiving meal, but you ain't got to eat it. You see what I'm saying? Bring some kale, some cabbage, even better. Eat that. That's all you're gonna eat. That's right. Now when they start talking crazy to you, because they will talk crazy, well, you gotta eat something. My doctor. When you mention your doctor, everybody falls in like, oh, I'm on a special diet from my doctor. You see what I'm saying? It's a meat-free diet. What? Sodium-free. You see what I'm saying? You see, once you set it out and say, I am the authority of my life. See, my thing is, I very seldom follow groups. People say, well, Dr. B, what are you? What do you mean? I am right now. And I allow myself to be who I am right now. Well, aren't you a part of such and such? Well, I spoke for them, but I don't conform to any one thing but the universal God. So I may not come to your event. Don't feel bad about it. You wouldn't want me to be there and be feeling, uneasy, because I bring a funny vibration. You know when you go somewhere and you don't really want to be there, how you feel, and you send that information out. You see what I'm saying? We're radio stations. We're sending information and receiving. So if I tell you I'm not coming to help you move Thursday, I'm not coming. But Dr. B, that's mean. You my such and such. Well, I said I'm not coming. Well, what are you saying? I said, now on that day, I'm going to be walking by the stream. If you pick another day, I may be there. But if you make me come on that day, I'm going to have an attitude. And my attitude is going to infect everything just like a virus. Because I got an attitude. You see what I'm saying? I'm sitting here mumbling under my breath, all this stuff. I need to throw this stuff away. Because you come with your attitude. If you would like to change your altitude, then you got to change your attitude, which means you got to take full control, which means you got to be courageous, and you can't care what people are telling you. You get upset and you got upset. You're not going to make me mad. You can't make me mad. I don't care what you say. You call me all the names of the world. You're not going to make me mad. Only I could make myself crazy and lose my mind. I'm already crazy. You can't hurt me anymore. I'm as crazy as they come. Crazy means cracked away from the mainstream. That's what they call an apostate or an apostle. They was called crazy and lunatics because they was out at night. Yeah, I be out at night under the moon. Yes, I do things very differently. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to take those words and use them. So the same thing with the ways we eat. There needs to be a rhythm. There needs to be a tone. If you have a focus and an intention. And if you come and say, I have this illness, then I'm going to say, let's eat this way. Let's get rid of your parasites. Because people have mental, physical, and spiritual parasites. Parasites are things that live on you or in you and use you as a host. What are you carrying? How many worms you got? Well, I did this whole thing, with the cloves and the diatomaceous earth. That was for intestinal parasites. But obviously you got some in the liver because you're angry. You got some in your kidneys because you're fearful. You got some in these different organs that are causing these certain emotional outcomes. We got to cleanse you from the rooter to the tutor. So systemic parasites, they're throughout your system. Some are mental. Ideas, feelings, and expressions from the past that are caught up like a ghost haunting you today. It's gone. That was 40 years ago. Every time you tell the story, you break down and cry. Like it's today. And you meet a friend, right? You at the bar or whatever, and y'all meet and y'all both got hard luck stories and become hard luck friends. You see what I'm saying? Because you got something to agree on. We could just wallow in that. You see what I'm saying? You got to break that force. You got to say, no, that was the past. And whenever you talk about yourself in the past, say in the past. Or say she or he. And look away from yourself, talk in third person. He went through a lot when he was young. You'll be so calm. Then you get to a point where you don't tell this story. Because when you tell that story, that causes you to eat a certain food. You're telling the story of hardship, so you eat some food that's going to cause you hardship. Now we got a dis-ease and an imbalance. Now the biophotons, the angels, and the ancestors cannot talk to you. Because you can't even receive the message because the message is confused by the hormones or the chemical messengers from dead animals. And you want to know what's wrong with you. What's wrong? I don't know what's wrong, Dr. B. The doctor gave me some drugs. As the doctor's doing the very best he can do. The doctor, he really is attempting to do. They are doing what they really know how to do based on your conditioning. They don't study nature. Don't ask the doctor, does he believe in herbs? Even if he did, he can't tell you that. He got an oath. You see, I was speaking at this doctor's convention, right? And I was the only naturopathic person there. And the guy says, Dr. B, I don't know why you're into this whole stuff. Herbs don't work. Oh, I said, can I, excuse me for a second, I'll be right back. I go to my car and get my PDR, Physician's Desk Reference for Herbs. I said, you recognize this? And I held my hand over the herbs. He says, oh, wow, that's a PDR, Physician's Desk Reference. He said, but I've never seen a red one. I moved my hand and it says for herbs. He says, what? He says, where'd you get that? From the same place you get yours. It's on the shelf. When you go buy your PDR, there's one for herbs. The book is this thick. And the first herb I went to when I looked in the book was marijuana. I looked at herb, I was like, what? Y'all knew this was a sacred medicine? All this time? You knew it? That's why you made it illegal. You see? You worried about people getting high. You see what I'm saying? You worried about people getting unstressed. Now, I'm not saying that how people use it, because now it's a whole nother thing. You use sacred things out of the sacred vibration, then it becomes a problem. But I'm saying that these plants, they have studied. Because their first medicines were made from herbs. Your doctor may not know about it or may not be able to agree with it because he's got a contract with a drug company, which is a corporation that is looking to make a lot of money off of your ignorance. So herbs are for the healing of the nations. Knowing how to use them, when to use them, how to prepare them. Now that's a special quality. You just don't buy it because somebody said dandelion can fix your liver. But you got a problem with your kidneys, your heart, your lymph. So your liver can't even work correctly because everything else as a holistic system is off. You have to have holistic thoughts. So you're thinking a certain way, you're living a certain way, you're acting a certain way, and you're making love out of the things that are not love in your life. I'm not sure what question you asked, but they start coming to me and they come through. So
you answered it. We thank you so much. There was so much that you touched on, and you gave us a holistic view of how to view life, what changes we can make to experience a healthier outcome, to calm and de-stress ourselves.
yes,
To understand that energy that goes through the foods that we eat and how it impacts and affects us.
yes,
And I believe that once we can understand that and recognize it and accept it, that we will begin to make smarter choices. So
yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you. To really get it, you got to exo-stand also, which means stand outside and look in. And once you do that, you can elevate your life. And you can find me at elevationtime.com. Elevationtime.com. This is the time to write. This is the time to rise. Right now is the time. So no matter what they're saying, you need to get within yourself. Lose your mind for a minute, at least 48 hours. Don't know anything. Drink some water and lemon and just breathe. Much love and peace and beautiful harmony to you and everybody out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love and wellness.
first of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me here. It's a pleasure to be always to be in your company. My name is Vera Taylor. That was the name that my mother gave me. And I've been given many names throughout my life. Amen Sarah Hatep, which means she finds peace through God. Okay?
I love that.
Yes, and then everyone in the community calls me Kanika, and Kanika means daughter of laughter wrapped in black cloth. And I received that name because I enjoy working with cloth and I enjoy working with color. And you know, this is my black cloth.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I was raised in Delaware. I'm the daughter of Emma Taylor and George Taylor, the granddaughter of Mary James Clark, Clara, and James Wesley Hoxter, Warden. Okay, so I'm from Delaware, but I came south because I did not like the snow. So I came to Georgia and I found snow, but it's not as much as in Delaware. I feel a kinship with being in the South. Coming to the South, I found who I really was. And when my family asked me, why are you going south? You don't, you know, it wasn't safe for a young black woman to come south in the mid-70s. But I just had this yearning to go somewhere, to be somewhere different. And I always had this question, who am I? And do people accept me because of who my family is? Or do they accept me as an individual? So I came south not knowing anyone, wanted to know if people accept me for who I am as a person. So I'm still on that journey trying to discover who I am, who is this person called Vera Kanika Amensarah Hatep Taylor. So I'm still on that journey, I'm still searching. And coming to Atlanta allowed me to open up as a person because no one knew who I was. So I was free to invent myself. I told my family I was coming here to go to school, to grad school, and I did that. It took me 5 years to get a master's degree because I enjoyed Atlanta. I found Atlanta to be a city that was open, very southern, very free. People in the South were warmer than I found the people in the North. So Atlanta gave me an opportunity to discover who I was as a spiritual person. I was raised in a Baptist church. My uncle was the minister, so you know we went to church every Sunday, and Christianity was the basis of my life. But when I came to Atlanta, I was fortunate to get involved with a church that was also Baptist, but also encouraged people to develop their spiritual self, their metaphysical self. So I learned that it was fine to meditate, that you could really discover who you were to meditate. I was invited to go to seminars, to read books about spirituality. So I really got closer to who that person was by exploring myself spiritually. Along my path, I found out also that I was a healer. That was a surprise to me. But then as I look back on my life, I always have been a caring person. I always listened to people. And but I had an opportunity to discover the art of Reiki. And so by practicing Reiki, which is an energy modality, which is being able to see and to feel energy and to help people balance themselves, I understood that I did have that power in my hands. I'm not the healer, but I understand that I'm a channel through the Most High. So by doing Reiki, I have an opportunity to work, to co-create with the Creator. So I really enjoy doing that. Another passion I have is education. My degrees are in education. I've directed an early childhood education program, which I was very proud of that because it was a traditional early childhood education program, but because of my interest in myself as a person of African descent, the whole center was infused with our African culture. So that drew a lot of the young women in our community there, and it allowed us as a community to develop our sense of who we are as a people, which meant, you know, we're intergenerational, we listen to the children, we listen to the parents, we listen to the community and promoted dialogue. And that led me to do more community work and some work that I'm very proud of. I was able to partner with other people in the community, and we developed a festival just for African American children. At the time I was living in New Orleans, and in New Orleans there's a festival for everything. There are festivals for jazz, festivals for tomatoes and strawberries. So we thought it was important to have the celebration of the African American child. So my myself and my other community partners developed the celebration for the African American child that takes place every spring in New Orleans, where the community celebrates African American children. And the festival is so old that now I've met some of these little children who are now adults, and they tell me that they want to bring their children to that festival. I work with children. That's one of my gifts, to work with children. And then because I was educated as an educator, you know, I understand the academic component of it. But working with children, seeing how just giving children love and encouraging them to go to their highest spot, that they can be wonderful people. So I continue to work in that arena with a group that's located in Atlanta now called Sisters of Tomorrow. This particular organization is also over 30 years old. It had its basis in Palo Alto, California. Some of the women who started that group now live in Atlanta. And just for some kind of synchronistic kind of thing, we met up and we become friends, and we continue that organization. We we invite young families to come to us. We have a council of elders, and we have a curriculum that has been developed over the years, and we invite the parents to look at the curriculum and develop, along with the elders of our group, activities that help the children master the goals of each component of the program. The girls are initiated through a process of going through certain goals and experiences. We have hands-on activities, interactive activities. We have people come in and actually lecture to the children and talk to them about what particular aspects of womanhood is important, and then we try to give them experiences that highlight those particular goals and aspects. When the children finish going through the curriculum, sometimes and we don't have a set time, we just have certain components that the children have to master. You can do it in a year, you can do it in 2 years, you can do it in 3 years, 4 years. It just depends on the momentum of the families that are a part of our group. It's not so much a program as a community experience. But when the girls finish this experience, they have developed a bond with girls who aren't necessarily their blood sisters, but this bond is cemented with experiences that they've had with the elders, with each other, with other people in the community. They're asked to do community service. They're asked to look at themselves and and try to understand who they are and what are their goals as young women. What does it take for a young girl to become a young woman and to become a mother and then an elder in the community? So we have a lot of experiences for the girls. We invite people to come in and talk to them. We have father-daughter teas. We have grandmother teas, because we want them to understand that it's just not you and your mother and your father and your siblings, but you need your grandma, you need your auntie, you need your cousin, and you need people who look like you, who care about you and understand your history to help you grow to become a woman. And I know that all of us are here for a reason, and I believe if we encourage each other and love each other and just interact with each other, that our communities will be stronger, because each of us has a piece of the puzzle. And I feel that by working with this young group of young women, I'm encouraging these young women to find that little niche that they have, that's their perfect place, that their little perfect pearl that they have to give to the world. And all of us have a goal. All of us have something to give. And I think that as we interact with each other, as we talk with each other, as we play together, as we work together, that we can encourage each other to be our very best selves. We're a community, and it's a very flexible program, and each time we have a group of girls, it looks different because we have different families that come. Our elders usually remain the same, and we also have mothers, other women in the community who come and like to work with us, but each group has a different flavor because, we're so many different flavors. The families come from many parts of the country, different parts of the community, different socioeconomic groups, but we all understand that we're Africans and that we love each other, and that we're kin. We came over here together, And we all have much to give each other if we work together as a community.
And your family has spent a lot of time in Africa.
Yes.
Yes, your husband, your daughter, and you as well.
Yes.
And so explain what that experience, what that feels like, because there's a lot of individuals that can't even fathom, like traveling to Africa. What is it like to step on the soil of Africa?
I remember the first time I went to Africa, and when I stepped off the plane, there was all of my senses were assaulted. I smelled something that I'd never smelled before, but it was very familiar. The air is different. Your body, the sun touches your body, and your sun my body took on a different color. I'd never tanned like that before, and it was my skin was the most beautiful brown that has ever been in its life. I have a picture taken of me the first time I went to Africa, and I never looked that good before. And I know it's just because I was home. Every cell in my body knew that I was home. So what is it like? It's like coming home. I think as people who live in the diaspora, there's a part of us that always feels this loneliness because we know we don't really belong here. Then again, we are global citizens, but I think as every African, we need to always go back and touch that soil because that's our beginning, that's our root. It felt like being home. Yeah, so I invite everyone to go, everyone who's of African descent to go and just experience this land that's been hidden from us. We're always taught that it's a jungle, that it's a place that's not comfortable, and that people are backward. When I went to Africa, I felt so ignorant. I met people who could speak 3 or 4 languages. I met people who were well versed in world politics, and everyone just knew so much more than I did. And I had a college education, a European education, but it's home, and I understand that it's home. And I think Africa is waiting for us, and I hope that at some point there will be a partnership between the continental Africans and the Africans in the diaspora, because they've been colonized just like we have. And if we come together, I think we would be a mighty force, because we both have so much to teach each other. Because there's some things that continental Africans have forgotten about being Africans, and there's some things that we forgot because we've been over here. And I'm just looking forward to that day when those two worlds can come together and we'll be one people again,
Yeah, that's such a powerful statement, to understand that separation, and the forces that be that are intentionally keeping people separate from one another because of the possibility of the power that can be harnessed once they do come together and form that kinship. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Do you bring the that knowledge of Africa and include it in your rites of passage program?
Most definitely. We want our children to understand that, bottom line, you are Africans. You may come from Ohio or Chicago or Washington, but you are an African. And we have experiences that talk about that. We talk about genealogy. We encourage your children to look at your families and see where you came from, and what things do you do that are still African. And we talk about things like music and drumming and art, and we try to expose the children to, what's happening here in America, but let them understand this came from Africa. I remember one time we took the young ladies to New Orleans. Africa was just spilling out all over there, and we were able to point out, isn't that very African? So yeah, they do understand. When they come through their group, they understand that they're Africans, and we encourage them to wear African garments at events and to explore what it's like to be an African woman living in America.
You serve from the inception to the birth, and then through the rites of passage program, and so it's such a beautiful circle that you've created with that population. So, but explain to us what a doula, what the purpose and who do you serve and how do you serve?
Okay, a doula is basically known as a mother's helper, and doulas have been around throughout the end of time. Every woman who has a baby should have a doula, and the does everything that a midwife does, but we don't do any medical kinds of things. We're there to be the friend of the mother, the support person for the mother. And that's so very important in Georgia, because Georgia has a very high mortality rate for women of color. Doesn't matter what your economic status is or how much education you have. When you go into these hospitals, there's a very high chance that you may not come out alive, especially if you're a woman of color. We all know living in America is a very stressful thing, and we've been here long enough where we're starting to see how this stress is actually physically affecting our bodies. So I became a doula, first of all, because, my children, grew up and then they left the house. They went out into the world, and I realized I had all these skills, all these mothering skills, but nobody to mother or parenting. So when I heard about the doula, I remember my mother telling me that when she had her first child, they kept her upstairs for 30 days. And I didn't understand that. But now I understand the importance of a mother and a baby bonding, the importance of protecting the baby from all the germs, physical and invisible and spiritual that are out here in the world. So maybe 30 days may have been a bit too much, but I think that mother and that baby and the father need that time to bond and to create those relationships that will support that baby throughout its life. So being a doula is a very important and very necessary task, I think, that we have to do as women.
And you talked about in New Orleans where you have the smaller children and then they come back and they're bringing their children. Mm-hmm. So how does that feel to know that you're impacting all these generations of African Americans, of people of African descent, that you've touched the lives and you've increased their quality?
How does that feel?
Yes.
Oh, it's very satisfying. It gives me purpose. I know there are other things that I'm called to do on the planet, but by being a doula, by working with the Rites of Passage group, I know that that's one way I'm giving back. So I think it's very important to give back because there were so many people who poured into me. I didn't get a chance to go to college just because I was brilliant, even though I am. There were other people who dreamed of me going to school. So my going to college fulfilled other people's dreams. So as a person in the community, I know it's important when you see a young child, when you have an opportunity to touch people, that it's important to touch each time you can, because you never know what words you have to say or what touch you can give somebody, how that will spark them to do different kinds of things. Mm-hmm. And people of color, we like to touch and we like to connect, and this society talks about us being individuals, but we're a communal people. And I think by working with the group in New Orleans and working with the Rites of Passage group here, that allows me to expand and be a worthwhile person who contributes to the community.
Well, thank you very much. Is there a message that you would like to leave to the community mm-hmm. in regards to overall wellness, a message of hope or inspiration, mm-hmm. A message of love that you would like to leave with the audience?
Okay, well, first of all, I think the most and the best wonderful thing in the world on this planet is love. And as people of color, I want to just encourage us to continue to love each other and to not be judgmental and be ready to forgive. We've already won, and we just have to recognize that. And if we just continue to love each other and accept each other for who we are and be willing to say, I'm sorry, that we can make it, that we will continue to make it. The future is ours. We just have to grab it. My life path has led me on a journey where I can support people from the womb, the cradle, to the grave.
That's awesome to have that type of impact on human life. It's meant for all stages, right?
Yeah, it's a cycle.
How beautiful.
founder and executive director of the Holistic Stress Control Institute. I've been dealing with the healing arts for over 34 years and helping people make the connection between mind, body, and spirit, and understanding what they could do, how to heal on all levels with the body, what they can eat, and basically their emotions, and also their spiritual gifts, and dealing with what they're thinking. So I started the Institute back in the early 80s when we had the Atlanta Missing and Murdered Children's Crisis. It was a prayer then, as I watched my daughter, 13 years old, started bedwetting just because of all the news, publicity, and the kids missing and murdered. I just asked, I had a prayer, what can I do to help? So I got a job announcement for Grady Hospital to they were hiring health clinicians. And I interviewed, and out of 60 to 100 people they interviewed a couple of times, I was one of the 6 clinicians that they picked out. And our area was not as much clinical as it was working with health and education. So because they were dealing with stress, I said, well, we got to find where's the stress curriculum. This is 1980s. Kids and people didn't even believe kids had stress. So we started there. So I just started delving. I only found one other lady in Wyoming, someplace, that was looking at the stresses of children as it related to grades, but not, related to other areas as well as their physical, emotional condition, divorces, things like that. So I jumped on in, started developing my own curriculum. And after that, we worked with Grady Hospital for a while, and the children that they were bringing there. And then I decided to go off and do it with an education session with children. And they had a Saturday school program at Georgia State, and I worked with Spelman. So the feedback I got was just very positive from the parents and from the teachers and from the children themselves, that they had not learned about stress. And I made it very fun about what stress has to do with your feelings, to do with happy, sad, scared, and mad, and what we can do. And we talked about breathing. We made it basically breathing like your bubble, filling your body up, and like your air floating, and then you're deflating. So it was very successful. So was on to what do I do with that after I had that success. So I applied for a grant through a friend of mine who told me about you can write grants, get money for doing these services in schools. So I applied for one with my husband's help, because he's a great journalist, and I received it. So I had talked to the principal, and the grant was in Fulton County, and it was a school that had the highest suspension rate, lowest academic performance, lowest parent, all that stuff, highest number of fights. And we set the program in that school for 3 years, and the results were phenomenal. We were monitoring their stress and increasing their coping skills, but also we saw that the grade levels had improved, which was like one of like an eye opener. Like, okay, makes sense, when you're not stressed, you perform better, optimal learning, than when you are stressed. So that program got us the Governor's Award in the field of mental health and prevention, and also because of the kids we were working with, also helped with juvenile delinquency prevention. We started the first after-school program in the Fulton County school system back in the early 80s. There were none, didn't make sense to me, where the kids are going home to fight and stuff like that. So we basically started that program first after school, and we brought in arts and crafts and nutritious food, and we went on. So from there, I went on to other programs with stress too. I said, but the program was from K to 7. I wrote a curriculum from K to 12, and next year I found out they had a federal grant for young kids all over to reduce substance abuse. So I said, well, we've already done K to 12. We can show that kids early on can learn about stress reduction too, and basically work with them, follow up with them, so they can keep the skills. And if you have skills, you don't have to really get into drugs. You can work with the family. And that was the beauty of the program. We worked with the parents, we worked with the teachers, we worked with the community, we had an advisory board, and we worked with the students. And we provided training for all of those too, for the parents and teacher training too, because you can't teach anybody about stress unless you know how to deal with it yourself. So it kind of grew, and it seems like God, first of all, I have to thank all the children who were part of the crisis, because I think it was their spirit that I connected to, and basically that blessed me, because everything I wrote just kind of went through. It was like, wow, this is really a sign that when you ask the universe what you can do for help, be sincere about it, it will make things work out, and things worked out all through everything. So our budget went up from $2,500 to close to $1 million, because we got 3 federal grants and we got local grants, and we had a good track record. So things blossomed and continue to blossom. And then we were looking at what are some of the alternative things. We were teaching kids Tai Chi in schools, because it has to do with the breathing and the body and stuff, and slow motions and stuff as well. But then I got to travel to China to a Tai Chi conference. It was huge stuff. We had a translator there, and they had 3 different tracks. They had one for Tai Chi, learn all the Tai Chi you want. And they had one for massage therapists, and then they had one called Qigong. So I heard of this word, I couldn't even say it. My teacher, Tai Chi teacher, had told me about it, but I wasn't sure what it was. I just heard her say this word. So I was brave enough to go to that track, because I didn't know anything about it and stuff. And as a result, I met someone in there who said he was a teacher of Qigong and Tai Chi in his home in Sweden. So, you know, I asked him if I could get with him and talk with him when I got back. We could be pen pals and stuff like that. And he said, yeah, because I was really trying to get his video, because he was taping everything to see if I could remember it when I got back home. But we became friends, and I invited him over for Kwanzaa the next year to the States. And he said, oh, I'm here, I can do a Qigong workshop with you. I was like, really? Okay, good. So we advertised that, and we had about 25 people come out. It was my first real experience, 2-day conference on Qigong. I was high as a kite. I was like, whatever this is, I love it. It was just amazing. And then when I learned it had to do with energy, that we are all energy beings, and that our body is the energy, and that this energy cannot be, created or destroyed. Basically, you have it within you, and stuff. It can be transformed. And I was like, wow. So I met a number of master teachers, as the spirit world will have it. I just kept meeting different people on higher levels. But at a wellness conference about 6 years after that, I met Master Chuni Lin. I was very amazed with him. I mean, he was the real deal and stuff. He was just so humble. And he had sent a group of us had gathered, and he had said to, he was sitting by himself, and I thought he was one of the servants at the waiters, because they had all Chinese staff in terms of the kitchen. But then I walked by him, I was really, eager to know who he was, just because I always people of color, because his conference has less than 5% people of color there. And it's good information, it's good times, it's good sharing state-of-the-art information on wellness. But so I went over and I met him, and introduced him to actually he had presenters. So I brought him over to the group that I was meeting with, and people said, what are you presenting on? He said, medical Qigong. He's like, oh, really? I was like, wow, medical Qigong. I'd heard from China, that's when people can look at you and scan your body and see where the blockages are. I was like, go. So my friend challenged him. He's a Tai Chi teacher too. And he said, well, if you can do that, what's wrong with me? He said, okay, it's your neck. And then my friend kind of got quiet. He said, you have scoliosis of the neck, and whatnot. He was like, okay. We were like, okay. I didn't know that, but that was something and stuff. So, but then he said, do you want me to work on you, assist you in your healing? And we said, and we were like, what is this guy doing? What is he saying? And he went behind him and he did some moves. And so my friend started moving his neck. He said, oh my goodness, he had been in therapy for different car accidents for years. He said, oh my goodness, this is the best he had felt. So immediately I said, hello, I just met you. You see anything? long story short, we became best of friends. He worked on my kidney. I had a bad kidney, my first kidney infection, and I never felt that it had left because I was taking so many things. Even though I was going to naturopath, I was going to some of everything. And he said my kidneys were still weak, so he worked on me when I was doing the Tai Chi. Because he asked me to see my Tai Chi movement. I said, well, I got to do it in front of a master of Tai Chi. Okay, we did that, and then he did a session, and at his session, he was showing the finger growing game. He's like, pick out whatever hand is larger and whatnot. I said, okay, hold the smaller finger, hand up. And he said, you know, look at the hand and just talk to it and say, fingers are growing larger and larger, your fingers are growing larger and larger, fingers are going, anyhow. He did that for 1 minute and stuff, and he said, put your hands back together and see if your hands listen to you. And oh my goodness, everybody's hand had grew a little bit. Then he said, put your hand down, just shake it and say, hand, go back to normal. We put our hands back, our hand went back to normal. Then we realized, I was spaced at this time. I couldn't write legibly after this presentation that he did, and he was showing us how energy can be transmitted. It goes through wood, it goes through earth. I was like, oh my goodness. So I just said, God, if this is for me, you have to figure out a way, because I could only indulge in absorbing the information. I was illegible. So we met him later on and stuff, a friend of ours, and I, talked to him about, what information do you have? He said, I brought some kits. I had 2. I was like, oh great, can I get one? He said, yeah. So I went back and, Gloria, some of my friends who are in the Dean, LA, just people who are into the arts, healing art, we started practicing it. And at the end of the week, I was like, whoa, this thing. I saw a difference, and I had practiced Tai Chi, had practiced yoga, all this stuff, but the difference I saw with practicing the Spring Forest Qigong made a difference in me, not only physically, mentally. I became really sharp, emotionally, spiritually. I was on purpose. I was interviewing some people. I felt like the best together I could ever feel and stuff. Like I just knew everything was working out. I was like, wow, this stuff is so powerful. So we asked him about different levels. We finished that one and found that he had level 1 and level 2, and we just kept going to the all the different levels he has. Introduced the level 5. We were like really staunch believers in the work he was doing, plus his persona is just so spiritual. So he's like so humble. I just love him. Nothing like people who got this stuff from that. He was like, no, he's very humble and really so nice. So we invited him here for a couple of workshops, and people came. People had heard about him because he was healing cancer. He was healing a lot of different diseases, and his name had spread. And he just started off real small, his house and stuff like that, but his name grew. So we continued to study with him and do his work and do the work and tell people, we got certified to do teaching and things like that and everything. And I really, because what Qigong is just not an exercise you go and practice, it's part of a lifestyle. And this is a trip that had to do with, and 2 weeks after I got it, but in the middle of the night, and I went to the bathroom. I don't turn on the lights because it's just there, but I knocked something over, so I went to pick up something. I said, is that what it is? It didn't feel like that. It didn't sound like that. So I picked something up, and it's dark now. I didn't know what it was. I was like, oh, I said, what is this? It's kind of like cool and sweaty, whatever. I said, my body said, drop it, Jennie. You don't know what it is, drop it. I'm still urinating and stuff. I was like, okay. I said, okay, reach for the light and turn on what it was. I clicked the light, and I saw this thing that looked like it was coiled up. It was still. I was like, if this thing moves, then this thing is a snake. Because it was a small snake, about this long, but it was coiled up. I was like, I'm looking at him saying, don't move, I don't know what you are, but don't move. The thing held up his head. Oh my goodness. I screamed bloody murder, ran off the toilet, urination all over, whatever. It was... My husband came in and stuff like that. I said, this is a snake is in the house. It was like, he was bringing in a big bat or whatever. He couldn't even get in the door. I said, no, just pick up the whole rug and throw the whole rug outside, because it was just a piece. So we did that, and I was like baffled. Where the hell did the snake come from? Now, did I bring it from India? Because I had all my other stuff in the other room. Could it have come? It was 2 weeks later. I didn't know where it had come from. and stuff. So we called the agriculture place and extension, and then I had to go online to start looking at what kind of snake is this and stuff. I had to look at all these snakes. That was the most dreadful thing too. Oh, but I found it. It was a Georgia yellow snake. They said it's very common. And basically in September, they all come out and stuff. They come out more stuff, and it could have come from the roof. The lady had said if you see any holes, and we had a hole in our ceiling, a small hole, wasn't that big. So I felt he just fell down there. Now, why did I have to see him then? I don't know. Because I never saw a snake in my house at all, never. So anyhow, we saw the snake and we moved on. And Gloria, I couldn't even tell anybody the story at first, but I told it to Gloria 2 weeks later, and she said, well, that means there's change coming in your life, you know, it's shedding and there's change. I said, okay. So the change was, as I was giving the information unfold, that it's time for me to move on. You know, I've been doing this work. It's time for you to go and do your own. I've always prayed to do a healing center or do more of the healing arts intensively, because now with programs I do administration, I do budget, I do super, all this stuff. But that's cool, that's cute, but I'm ready to move on. So that's what happens. I want to say I'm married to Jim Trotter. I've been married to him for over 47 years. I have 3 children, 9 grandchildren, and give thanks for all the blessings that have come.
You come as an example of just being able to follow what's in your heart, and what you've created, you know, is just phenomenal.
Yeah. It reminds me when I was at United Way and we had a panel discussing, you know, how to develop nonprofits and how you go about it. And what I told the group at that time, you know, I had the passion to want to help. You know, and I said I didn't have all the skills. I wasn't the best grant writer. I'm not the, English wasn't my best subject in school, whatnot. But through God will help you to do whatever it is you want to do. Once you put the intent out there, and the intent is very spiritual in helping someone, there's nothing you cannot do. And the universe that's what I saw happen to me. The universe just rise to my help and aid to doing whatever I needed. Like my husband was there, anybody needed somebody to type, they were there. Stuff just continued to unfold so beautifully. And I just knew you were on the right path. You knew you were doing things. And even when stuff got hard, you just, held steadfast and stuff. And after a while, things worked their way out. And like, I didn't know when I was going to be leaving. I just knew it was time to get ready since I'm experiencing my 70th birthday in April. I figured time to move on and stuff. But it all worked out well. So I've been really blessed and just thankful. So my message would be whatever it is in your heart, and definitely connect with the inner powers and the higher powers to ask what it is, what's of your service, what's your talent, because we've all come here with so many skills and talents that we know that's very unique to us, and some of them may not be, but we have something to give. And if we work with that and pray on that one, it will lead us to wherever it is. And that doesn't mean we're not going to have our ups and downs. I mean, my husband said the other day, into our lives the rain must fall. So you just put up the umbrella, and then you look at that and stuff and you move on. But you don't stay stuck in the downfalls or the troubles or the hard times. You just work your way through it, and knowing that that's what we're here for, to profess that faith that we have when it says, let not your heart be troubled, you believe in me. Where's the faith? This is when you're supposed to use it, when you experience the hard time, and know that there's something else at work here, and don't get fooled into the illusion. And you may have to tell yourself that at different times and stuff, and you may have to read something, you may have to sing a song, you have to be in somebody's company and stuff. That's so uplifting. So today is my mother's, I think 34th anniversary of her ascension and stuff. So this morning I got up and I texted all of my nieces and nephews, all of her grandchildren. I put them on a group text. I said, so this is Mommy's, your grandmother's Ascension Day and stuff. Look, what do you remember about her? Oh my goodness, so many stuff came in. It's just like, I remember she put soap in somebody's mouth because they were swearing. And I remember when she did, it was so fulfilling. It just lifted up my spirit, just hearing all the kids there in New York, they're, in California, they're here, some in Georgia. They're all over, but they were just chiming in on great memories of their grandmama. Beautiful. So that's what I hope people would know, that whatever you set your heart to do, you can do. And always, ask for the divine power and acknowledge in all things, give thanks and stuff, and direct your path.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Jennie Trotter, and congratulations on your move to your next assignment. And on a happy 70th birthday celebration.
Thank you. Wow, this is great.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
We're in the beautiful mountains of North Georgia in Chatsworth with a wonderful, wonderful spirit, a Native American, Tom Bluewolf, who is so connected and who shares so freely of himself with the universe. So Tom, how would you describe yourself to the world?
Well, I've come to think that and feel, most importantly, in my heart, that I'm a human being. And like a lot of my old friends, I seem to be struggling to be human in a world that's rapidly forgetting what that means. And what I like to think of myself doing is creating a safe, loving environment for folks to be able to heal, especially children, the little people. My dream personally is a child-friendly world where everybody has good water to drink and some good food to eat and somebody to love on them and somebody they can love, a warm bed to sleep in. There's enough of that for everybody. We don't need to deprive anybody of those. I believe those to be God-given rights to enjoy the ride on this planet Earth while we soar through heaven. We're all on the same ride. We're all in this together. And so it's been my mission to try to provide spaces wherever I am where people can appreciate and have gratitude, and maybe more importantly, respect and dignity about what it means to be a human being and what human beings are actually capable of on a good day. We always say the world is perfect. There's just a lot of people having a bad conversation. So what we strive to do is to raise the level of our personal poetry so the things we say to one another actually reflect what we hold dear in our hearts about what it actually means to be human walking together on the earth at this particular temporal lives that we have right now would seem more meaningful and purposeful if we knew that we were here for a very cosmic purpose, right? And it says on the original instructions that we're supposed to be stewards. We're supposed to be caretakers for this place. We're supposed to help nature help herself. So it's just a consideration. I think at this time it would be more critical than ever in my life I've seen and heard about, because there's so many two-leggeds and four-leggeds and so much mass extinction going on right now. We're losing 120 species of plants or animals every 24 hours right now. And we're using up 30% more resources than we can replace. And if my house was burning down 30% faster than I could put the fire out, I'm in a crisis situation. But you can look around and nobody's talking about the crisis. Nobody's talking about the terminal illness that's taking place right now on the spiritual level. Everybody's just talking about the money. How much does it cost? A good friend of mine who passed away recently was a very powerful environmentalist in this area. Studied at the University of Georgia. Him and his brother spiritual brother who developed Sapelo Island, and the other fellow was in the Blue Ridge Mountains. They did a memoriam to him down at the Fox Theater, right? He's like 90-something years old, and they wanted to honor his life of how much energy and information, education he brought to the environmental community. And so there was a panel on the stage talking about it, you know, a panel of corporate CEOs and whatnot, like FedEx and UPS, and Southern Wire. And so they asked him at the end of because the issue was, is there enough money to take care of this problem? And it was split. Everybody said, no, we don't have that much money. But yet they come up with trillions of dollars to go to war. You know what I mean? They come up with all this money when they want to do something, but they said they don't have enough money appropriated for taking care of our home. And so his analogy was this. He stood up in the audience, and he wouldn't sit on the stage with these people for whatever his own personal reasons were. He wanted to sit out in the audience with the people. And he stood up and he said, well, I'm gonna paint you a little picture for a minute, and I'd like you to consider the decision you might make. And everybody said, what's that? And he said, imagine that you have a baby, a precious baby, one you've wanted all your life, and one that you've been assigned to take care of, right, all its life. But that baby has a terminal illness. It's fixable. We have a cure, but it's cost prohibitive. Would you let the baby die? Or would you say, I'm going to come up with whatever it takes, I'm going to find however high I can, I'm going to save that baby's life? That's the decision that we're at right now. And it really, truly, if we searched our hearts, it's not about the money. 7.5 billion people on this planet could make anything happen. Even 10% of them. You know, so it's not about the money, it's about us agreeing that this earth is the most important thing in our lifetime. And taking care of her is the most important meaning and purpose we could have to our lifetime. Finding a job somewhere in a coal mine, as good as all these things are, finding this, that, and the other, going over here looking for that, trying to move to Paris to find somebody you love to hang out with, all these other things don't mean nothing if we lose this. And so my thing is, if we're not past it, we're on it. And it's called the tipping point, where you can't go back. It's gone too far. Now you're just going to have to look for out. If you're not able to evolve in your environment, you know what the other alternative is before termination? Mutation. So you'll have a planet of mutants who are able to live in a toxic environment. They can live off of carbon dioxide, you know what I mean? They can breathe methane, you know what I mean? They can deal with all of this stuff. But what we're going to be then? We're not going to be human beings anymore. We're going to be something else. Different life form. Is that okay with us? And if it's not, then we need to take some action and stay on the original instructions. You remember the original instructions, right? When we came here as spirit long time ago, we were only given 2 instructions. They said, we want you to go here and take care of this place. You're going to be Mama's immune system. She's going to feel what you feel. You're going to feel what she feels. Take care of her. So there's only 2 things that you have to do in order to live there forever. You have to love me, and you have to love each other. That's all you got to do. The original instructions. Love the Spirit and love each other like you love yourselves. And even Jesus said, on these 2 laws hang all the prophets. And so, but look, my grandfather said, you know, colonizing consciousness has the capacity to mess up a 2-car parade. You know? Those 2 things were just too, that's it? Where's all the fun? You know what I mean? Where's the drama? Where's the money? How am I going to make any money? You know what I mean? And I don't know where that came from, but it was like an infection. Fear and greed, they're like infections, you know? They take you over and all of a sudden you're not human anymore. You're a snake, a rat, a squirrel, you know, a weasel, all these other karmic entities and creatures who have different characteristics. But I really treasure the fact that we're all human, because we can experience compassion, we can experience empathy and love and forgiveness and mercy and reverence and sacredness and respect in a way that no other creature on this planet can on a good day. You hear me? You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so this is, to me, the most important thing to be doing and thinking, and most importantly, talking about. I'm doing these little talks around Atlanta now and up in Nashville and some of the local surrounding cities in Asheville. Are you familiar with Credo Mutwa?
I'm not.
Vissama Zulu. He's the high spiritual leader for the Zulu nation in South Africa.
Oh,
Credo Mutwa.
okay.
And so I go over there and stay with him. I have a little house in Zimbabwe, in Limpopo Valley. And a little town, a little village actually, only 200 people there, is called Pafuri. And so he has gatherings, and they're basically sacred conversations. And he calls them, the Zulu word for it is Indaba. I-N-D-A-B-A, Indaba. We're going to have an Indaba. And so I said, what's that? He said, that's where we all get together and gather together with the intention of the heart and talk about things that really matter. It's called an Indaba. So I'm having those. I go to different health food stores and museums of natural history, and I was just at Emory yesterday, and we talk, and sometimes as many as a couple hundred people show up.
Wow.
Sometimes it's only 30 or 40 people show up, but that's
a lot.
That's an awesome conversation, and they're starting to, circles are breaking off, and everybody, I said, this is what we need. If you're standing in a line at a movie, if you're waiting on a table at a restaurant, you need to be talking about this, because the people who are creating it never take a vacation. They never sleep. They're taking this place apart every minute of every day. So we don't have time to, you know what I mean, to relax. We have to keep that conversation alive, because we believe that when it's all said and done, that this whole place is basically energy, frequency, and vibration. Energy, frequency, and vibration. Various degrees. Once it solidifies, it looks like us. But we're basically energy and frequency and vibration, harmony. You know, the words we use to describe our peaceful states all sound like music. You know what I mean? We're harmonizing with the angel choir. You know what I mean? We're not sharp, we're not flat, we're right on key, right? We're singing with the choir. That's why they call it the universe. One song, right? Universe, one song. So we're all part of the music. And so it seems like we think about something, then we talk about it. But as soon as we talk about it, we don't realize this sometimes. We don't take accountability and responsibility for what we just talked about is now going to manifest. Because we've released that energy, and that frequency is going to solidify somewhere, sometime, somehow or another. So we create the world around us by the things we talk about. And that comes from the things we think about or feel. Once we manifest them, then it becomes our character. That's who we are now. We've designed the prison we're going to walk into, or not. And then once we do that, that becomes our destiny. So our destiny here as humans is directly connected to what we think about, what we talk about, you know, the deeds we perform. That's who we are. Doesn't matter what we say. They're going to judge us by what we do, right? You can see that happening all over the place right now. They'll be telling you one thing and doing another, right in front of you. You're going to believe me or your lying eyes? You know what I mean? And so that's what I think is important now, is these conversations. And so we call them indabas. And we talk like this. I say what I would like for people to consider as a meaningful journey on this planet. So we have an earth walk. So now we've seen each other again. We remember the dream. Now we're going to walk together for a while, somehow or another. And so if that's true, then basically we're kind of walking each other home, because we're all waiting on a ride. You know what I mean? The ride's going to come take us to the next journey. Just like when we was in our mother's womb, they took us to this journey. We're going to keep on taking journeys. And so I consider that if that's how it is, and that's sure how it seems to be, why not care for each other? Why not make it a sweet, child-friendly journey where the kids are laughing and playing, and everybody's got enough food to eat, everybody's got somewhere to sleep at night, everybody's got somebody to love on, and somebody to love on them. You know what I mean? There's plenty for everybody. Our family's never going to get too big. We're never going to give this earth something the Creator can't handle. And so, but we got to be willing to make that choice. That's the difficulty. Our priorities. If we look around and see what some people have, it's how can humans do the things they do to each other? You look at child trafficking, sex trafficking, slavery, injustice, and mean, lying, cheating, stealing, conniving, deceit. It's like a horror movie, and we're forced to watch it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like that's what my Aunt Millie used to say. You know, they say, if you don't learn from nature, you're doomed to repeat it. Mm-hmm. Well, she said, even then, you still got to watch your friends repeat it because they ain't going to settle down. And so it's not an easy walk being here on earth. It's not easy. But once you understand how meaningful it is, you do what Rumi said. Remember Rumi, this old Persian poet? He was sweetie pie. He said, this is all you got to do. Close your eyes, fall in love, and stay there. Don't let anything disrupt you. Don't let anything derail you. Don't let anything distract you. He said, because from then on, every decision you make will be made from love, and it'll be a good one. God, could it be that simple? Just close your eyes, fall in love, and stay there. What a concept. So that I've been using that as a mantra every morning. So I automatically give everybody a huge, generous line of forgiveness credit. If you can imagine, especially when I'm doing them all over Atlanta, like in Decatur and out of Georgia Tech and Brookhaven and various areas of Atlanta, out on the west side and the south side and Fayetteville and everywhere. That there's very eclectic groups of, like the village people. You know what I mean? If there's 50 people there, there's going to be 50 people from 50 walks of life that maybe anywhere else wouldn't have been able to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. You know, they had anything in common or whatever people think or don't think, I don't know. But when we come together, the conversations always, typically, not always, but typically, start off kind of like aberrant. You know, nobody knows quite what to say. Mm-hmm. Why are we here? What are we talking about? So I have to create like a context, like I did. Mm-hmm. I say, consider this as a premise and a reference point for this conversation. And you must accept this or not accept it. If you don't, then that's another conversation. But if you do accept that we are riding on the third rock from this star, and we are traveling through space at unprecedented speeds, that's a context. That's the framework for our teeny little lives here on this third rock. Gives us some perspective. You know what I mean? There's a huge, infinite universe out there. What are we talking about? You know, what were we talking about? You know what I mean? And so then you come back to this moment and say, okay, I'm going to remember my ancestors. They worked and played and prayed so hard for thousands of years, because in this very moment that we're standing here on this deck right now, the three of us can feel blessed because our lineage somehow survived the Holocaust, the genocide. Our people have been wiped off this earth for so many years. You know, they killed 50 million Native Americans before 1800. That's the biggest genocide ever conducted anybody knows about. But they talk about the Jews, they talk about the Africans with Leopold, you know, they talk about a lot of things, but they don't talk about Andrew Jackson. They don't talk about all these people that killed all our people. And the same thing happens in Africa, same thing happens in South America, same thing's happening in China. Our people made it. Ever how they did it, we don't know, but they fell in love, they had a baby, fell in love, had a baby, fell in love, had a baby. Here we stand as testimony to the success of our particular lineage. I believe that it's all been divinely orchestrated for a purpose, and the reason we are here because we know what needs to be done. We're the ones who were saved for the job, kind of like a digestive enzyme in your body. You know, probiotic. Mother's going to take care of us because we help her. She's not going to we're not going to go out with the infection. She wants to get rid of the infection, but not the probiotics. So I don't know if this is a good analogy, but this is kind of like how I look at it, you know. So I set that up as a context. I said, because let's all agree. Do you feel that's happening? You know, every once in a while I get one of these guys that thinks the Earth is flat, but they're not around all the time. I said, the Earth is not flat. It's thinking it's flat. So, but we create a context, and it's if this is what you want to talk about, I think we need to talk about this. I think the children need to hear this. And some people agree and they stay and talk, and people don't want to talk, they just leave. And some people leave. But most people stay. What are we talking about? I want to hear about this. You know, I didn't think about that. I didn't know that. I mean, I hear this a lot. Wow, I never looked at it that way. You know what I mean? They get it. See, it's almost like people have a menu of choices. Because you'll hear them say, I had to do this. I had no choice. I hear that a lot. Of course you had a choice. You didn't have to do it. Well, I had this, that, and the other obligations. I said, that's all mind-made. You know what I mean? It's like, what really is in your heart? That's what needs to be done. If you start listening to your coyote head, you'll believe anything your head tells you. It's a good story, but it might not always be true. But in your heart, even though it might not be a good story, and it might not be rational, it might not be logical, it might not make perfect sense, but your heart keeps telling you to do it, you got to do it. Or you'll wish you did on your deathbed. That's what I saw in hospice work. People crossing over, they didn't say, I'm ready, come and get me. Nobody. I wish I'd have went to Paris when I had the chance. I didn't tell my kids I loved them enough. I never got together with my brother or my sister, my uncle, my aunt, you know, all these kind of things. And so I'm thinking, if that's really what's in your subconscious or in the bottom of your heart or the back of your, you know what I mean? You need to live it. Don't die with it. You know what I mean? And so I like to bring these up. I think it's critical now. It's like we're dealing with sepsis on a global scale. Mother Earth has an infection right now that's in her blood. It's in the water. It's in the earth. It's in the trees. It's everywhere. Imagine 7.5 billion two-leggeds. Never mind all the four-leggeds that are on antibiotics and steroids and growth hormones and Viagra and antidepressants and chemotherapy. All, once we consume it, it has joined the precipitation cycle. All those pharmaceuticals go back into nature. We take in water. We're like water filters. We take in water and then we put it back. We take in water and we put it back. And water remembers everything. So if you're thinking bad thoughts, or taking toxic substances, or doing this, it goes right back into nature. Nature knows. Everybody knows. And so these things are important to say, oh, I didn't know that. How come nobody ever told me that? I said, well, if you investigate your life and investigate who you are, what does it mean to be a human being? Don't you think that's worth considering? Since you're here anyway and you're a human, you're not an elephant or a hippo, you know, you're a human. And so what does that mean? Well, we've done lots of research over the years and said, well, what it means is you have some magic powers if you use them wisely. You use them to exploit or to take advantage of. They're going to backfire on you like a, you know what I mean? You'd be shooting yourself in the foot. But if you use them to help people, your gifts will come alive. Because our people, our conversation with the Great Spirit is such that he says all humans are potentially healers. They just need to find the medium that I put them there for. But we're still here because we have a gift, because we have something the Creator thinks we need to offer the world to make it a better place. Because the Creator is mostly concerned about the children. That's the future. The seeds, you know, the hidden seeds. And one of the analogies that seems to connect with a lot of people and it expands their menu greatly without me having to say much more in that arena is that when you pick up something as simple maybe as an acorn, and let's say you hold it, you know, acorn, I got them all over the ground here. And you look at it and you think, okay, What's that acorn dreaming about? It's dreaming about being an oak tree. But one day, right, I will be this oak tree. And see this little seed right now. But under the right conditions, with a little help from its friends, right, it will become an oak tree. It's not going to change its destiny. It's not going to say, I think I'd rather be a pine. I think I'd rather be a Chinese dwarf apple tree. You know, it's not going to happen. It's got a destiny. Oak tree. And there ain't going to be no confusion about it. Once it's an oak tree, you're not going to walk up to that oak tree and think, looks like a pear tree to me. You know what I mean? It's going to be an oak tree. My people contend that we all have a seed like that inside of us. That under the right conditions, with a little help from our friends, we can blossom and become who it is that we're supposed to be, which is the best human being we can be. That's what our destiny is. And my grandmother used to say, if you can't find those people, you need to be one. And that's how we're going to make the world heal, one heart at a time.
I am Simone, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist and a licensed professional counselor. I am the founder of Release Counseling and Consulting Incorporated in Atlanta, Georgia. One thing that I found is in the African community, there's a lot of trauma that is unresolved. So I work with people to try and identify some of the patterns in their lives that are leading them to make the same decisions, the same maladaptive decisions that keep them stuck and that hinder them from accomplishing the goals they want to and being the best person they can be.
And is it true that sometimes the patterns or the behaviors can be slightly different from the parents, but it has like the same underlying cause,
yes,
so to speak?
So depending on what the role is, whether it's from a parent or a child, the behavior can be different, but the underlying causes of the behavior may be the same. And it may be that need for attachment, the need for safety, the need for love, the need for security, to feel wanted, to feel valued. And that may show itself differently depending on the person's age, gender, behavior, background, but it does come out eventually. And the goal, of course, is to help people identify what those needs are and who are safe people to try and get those needs met from. Now, we can heal our bodies from the trauma through exercise, yoga, counseling, any variety of therapeutic modalities, but untreated, those things kind of fester in our body. And if you think of them kind of as just hardening and just staying there and fumes just coming out of them, and those are the things that impact us, which then result in our having a negative attitude, bad behaviors, our inability to explain what it is that we need and want from others, as well as keeping us from accomplishing the things we want to on our jobs and our families and our relationships. So long term, it can cause us anxiety, depression, illnesses in our body, and ultimately, at a very extreme level, with all these things compounded, high blood pressure, heart disease, and things that are so prevalent in our community, which eventually, if we don't treat these things and take care of ourselves, do eventually contribute to death.
That's interesting. From my history anyway, when I go to a family practitioner or
Yes.
a regular MD, I'll never question about my emotional state or what was home life like, or
that it has any impact on my overall health.
Right.
But I'll, be prescribed a pill to take or something
Yes.
along those lines. So when we take advantage of the services that you provide to
Yes.
a person, then does that eliminate the need, or reduce the need, I should say, reduce the need for prescription medications?
Absolutely no. The idea is for them to work in collaboration. There is a place for medication, whether it be for mental illness or hypertension or whatever. So everything has its place, but what works best is to collaborate all those things for the betterment of the whole person, not just treating a spot illness here and leaving the rest untreated. So they go together.
Okay, great. And so in your practice, do you deal more with families, with couples, with women, with men, with children?
Well, I work with adults. I love the little people. I just don't work with them. And I deal primarily with individuals and couples. I love that. I like working with individuals who often are in periods of transition. So in my practice, we look a lot at wholeness, the whole person, and what's going on in their lives, whether it's family, work, school, and how all these things make them who they are.
That's interesting, because we are raised with that, you're my better half. Or,
Right.
I'll bring in 50%, you bring in 50%.
Right.
But I love the way that you're approaching it, is that you're already whole. Both parts
Right.
of you are whole. So that just makes a bigger whole, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Because just because you have two halves doesn't mean that they're cut right, or that they're going to, if you think of a puzzle, you can have two halves of a puzzle. How do you know they're the same puzzle? How do you know the pieces are going to fit together? But when you have two whole puzzles, you can easily bring those together. I like to think of myself kind of as just a support, journeying with them at this particular time in their lives. My goal, of course, is to get them, to help them reach a point to where they don't need me to journey with them any longer, and this is what I share with them. So I try to give them the tools that they can utilize on their own, away from me, so that they don't need to come back and see me anymore. More and more people are finding value in it. Now, what I am finding is that they want someone who they feel will understand the foundation of the culture. And so I will get people who will seek me out because they want someone who looks like them, who understands what it's like and won't judge them for various historical issues that are commonplace in our communities. And so they do start to embrace counseling. Once they experience it, if they do the work and see the benefits, then they value it. And then once they progress beyond a particular problem, they are not opposed to seeking counseling again, should something else come up in their lives.
Our communities don't embrace, because of whatever, like you said, the historical meaning that we've given to that. But it's so important when we have all of these emotions that are stuffed so far inside of us that is affecting all areas of our life.
That's true. A lot of people have that stigma that if they think of therapists as shrinks. We're not psychiatrists, we're therapists. And we don't prescribe medication, but we are there to support you. And think about how good it feels when you are upset or you're angry or you're frustrated and you're able to talk to a friend and you feel relieved. Like, oh, okay, I feel better. That's kind of what it's like, except this person doesn't know you. They're in a more objective place to help you because they don't know you, and they can see things a little bit more clearly to help you in a more effective manner. So we never use the word crazy. That is not a diagnosis. Everybody needs somebody to talk to at one point or another. Therapists and counselors are there to help you and to listen to you and to support you. You deserve to have somebody to talk to without judgment, someone who is not going to tell you what to do, someone who's going to support you and release you when it's time.
And the benefit to the overall health, we spoke a little bit about it in the beginning, but I can see a person where their cells are just like happy that they're not carrying this heavy load anymore, right?
It's like taking the bricks off of your shoulders and placing them onto someone else's to carry.
I love how you break it down, and it makes me want to come to you for the counseling.
Please do.
Yes. I think it's so beneficial because, like you said, we all have issues, and we still carry some of that unresolved issue from generations past that never knew about some type of counseling or therapy. They were more or less taught to keep it to themselves, and you don't share what your problems are with other people. Absolutely. And that was passed down to us.
Yes. Yes, that was taught to them because when they did share, it was used against them. And so that has permeated through generation and generation and generation to where that's just something in our community. What happens in my house stays in my house, and we don't share that. And that's for fear of repercussion and judgment and any other type of bad thing coming into our house against us. Our ancestors and relatives didn't intend to hurt us, but hurt people inadvertently, hurt people. They don't know how. If I'm hurting, then I can't necessarily help you be healthy and whole because I don't know how to do that for myself. And so where counselors come in is they help you to be able to do that for yourself so that you can consequently help someone else should you choose to do so.
Yeah, like you said in the beginning, our relationship is between two whole people, not two halves.
That's right.
Right. So that's a wonderful way for people to complement one another. And I know that those situations, especially when our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents didn't have the tools in order to deal with what they were having to contend with.
Yes.
It caused problems, and we did the best that we knew how in order to handle those issues. But it's a new day.
It is.
And for us to be able to progress, what would be your advice?
My advice would be to seek out all of the resources that you have available to you. People are still doing the best they can, but there are so many resources out there that are untapped. There are things that we can do that don't cost any money that can relieve stress. Going for a walk, playing with your kids in the park, taking a bubble bath at night, meditating, having a sleep routine. I would say utilize various tools, do research on all of the resources that are out there available to assist families and to help couples, to help individuals be the best person that you can be. If you go on the internet, there are lots of free resources and things, and you can contact therapists. There are lots of therapists who work on a sliding scale. Some of the community clinics have free therapy. And just try to find out to get the things that you need, the tools that you need to help you to accomplish the best you and get to where you want to be.
That's beautiful. That's what we want to do, is to provide the tools to the community. And so you've offered so many great tips and advice and a different way of looking at issues that could be impacting a person's life. And so we really appreciate you taking the time to share your wisdom with the audience and to let us know that there's no harm, there's no stigma.
Right.
There's none of that. When you go for help, it shows your strength.
Absolutely, absolutely. We don't hesitate to go to the doctor or go see somebody for anything down here. We'll go, we'll take a pill, we'll do everything. But when we need help up here, people seem to be a little bit afraid and intimidated. But all of this is part of our whole selves, and all of it needs attention.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Simone. I really appreciate you sharing with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Love and wellness. Life, love and wellness.
I'm a little distracted because I have Mr. Tony Hill working on my feet. So we have Tony Hill that is giving me a Thai foot massage.
With hot stones.
With hot stones, no less. So Tony is going to be working lovingly on my feet as he gives us his interview. So Mr. Hill, anytime you're ready,
Okay.
would you introduce yourself, and from there let it roll.
Well, my name is Tony Hill, and I'm a massage therapist. Do Thai massage and Swedish deep tissue massage, and more so Thai massage during the last couple of years or something. I just kind of got drawn to. I'm a yoga instructor. I teach yoga, different types, hot yoga, deep tissue, yin type of yoga. So that's pretty much. And I've been a massage therapist since '94. Almost 20 plus years.
Right. And you're a veteran?
I'm a veteran, yep. Military. I was going to massage school when I was working for the government in DC. So I was kind of doing, working for the government in a stressful job. And the massage just kind of helped me to balance out to, stay focused. Because it was a very stressful type, work. So, and I always said to myself, one day I want to be able to just do massage and yoga and enjoy life, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Because I retired from the federal government, so that kind of helps with paying the budget and the bills and things like that. So.
And that was from the stress that you were working under. Okay.
Yeah. I knew I wanted to go back to school to do something, but I knew I didn't want to sit at a desk and shuffle paper the way I was. And one day I went to a friend of mine who's a massage therapist. He did a demonstration. I didn't know him at the time. And I went to the demonstration. I was like, that's what I want to do. Because I know in my background in terms of sports and athletics and things like that would be right down my line. So I applied to the school like the next week and got accepted. But I didn't realize it was more challenging than I thought it was going to be. There's a lot more to it than just giving massages. It's learning to deal with people's energy, then learning that some people don't like to be touched. There's a lot of stuff that come up when you touch people. So.
But a person would come for a massage and don't want to be touched?
Well, not be touched, but they would feel not being able to relax, to let go, to completely, let go. So. So I moved to Charlotte in 2006, and it was either again Charlotte or Atlanta, and I moved here, and it was a big change, social life of living in DC, my church family and stuff like that. People I had known, but it was the first couple of years I didn't like it, but now I really love it. I was back in DC last weekend, and the pace and all that. I was like, so glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. I can come home to Charlotte and, drive up in my driveway and have that peace of mind. So I've been here for 12 years now. But this is where I really kind of started my yoga training and teaching yoga, because I've always been practicing yoga, just never taught.
Oh, really? Okay.
Right, I've been practicing for about 20 years. But one of my yoga teachers said, well, you know, you should go and do the training. Okay. Because I really don't like being in front of people, you know, and being the center of attention, so I didn't think I'd do a good job, but it turns out I've been teaching for like 8 years now, and I enjoy it. It's helped me to come out of my shell.
Okay.
You know, in terms of. Yeah,
So you combine yoga, massage therapy, and you're teaching both of them.
I'm teaching yoga.
Yoga, okay. Okay.
I've done some Thai yoga body work workshops where I teach people how to give each other Thai massages.
Okay.
So I've taught that, but I'm not teaching the Thai massage or the massage right now. I did teach massage therapy back when I lived in DC.
So what are the benefits?
Wow. So many benefits. The skin, our respiratory systems, our circulatory systems, all the systems in our body are affected by a massage. Our breathing, our urinary, like for example, our digestive system and our urinary systems come into effect and become active when we're relaxed, right? We go through our day stressed and all that shuts down, and that's why we get ulcers and things like that. So when you get a massage and you relax, your digestive system starts to function the way it should, normally. So you hear people, have, stomach gurgling and things like that. But that's just a part of the relaxation process.
Wow. So you teach people how to relax.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about, because a lot of people come to yoga in a yoga class, and some of them might want to get in shape, lose some weight and things like that, but eventually they come back because they like the way they feel mentally, right? They like that stress management, being able to cope with life. So I try to focus more on making people feel relaxed. Breath work is a big part of it. It helps to slow the heart rate down, helps you get into that relaxation state. And that's when your body's functioning at that peak level. But we spend most of our day stressed, and whether we are conscious of it or not. And things just over time start to build up. And so yoga just helps you to manage that stress.
Do people realize that they're stressed when they come in? Because don't we operate sometime at such a high level of stress constantly that we never know that we need to?
Yeah. But if you got somebody that's coming regularly for massage, they learn to know when they get stressed. That's why they come back. Certain things happen, and maybe the way they act, they might snap, might have a certain ache in their body. So most people that come on a regular basis know when, okay, it's time to, take care of myself, some self-care. So,
but what about people that don't know? Right.
And that's where people end up turning to, alcohol, drugs, pills to help them sleep. They deal with it in an artificial way. It's funny because in Thailand, right, they got massage studios, all of them down the street. I mean, it's like 3 on one block. And so one night I was coming home it was like 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, and I hadn't had my daily foot massage. So I walked down the street to the locals, and all of them were packed. There was no place. I was mad. I ended up having to walk way around the corner. But that's how, 11 o'clock at night, that's what they're doing.
They understand.
And it's like a row, it's like this, of chairs and massage therapists, and people snoring or whatever, But you feel so good afterward. You sleep better too,
So sleep is when the healing comes.
Yeah.
What are some of the other benefits of being relaxed?
Well, like I said, the heart rate slows down, so therefore lowers your blood pressure. push you in that relaxation. So lower the blood pressure. Yeah, I think your immune system gets stronger too because it kicks in. You know, circulation of energy flows through your body better when you're relaxed, as opposed to contracted. Then you're blocking the energy from flowing. Wow, there's so many things, mentally, spiritually, that you get from massage. And most people, it starts out physical, but again, once you get into it, you come back and you realize it's more about learning to manage your stress. And we all have it, you know. Everybody has something going on in their life that you don't know about. So, you know, I think this is just a good way for people to manage that. But yoga is a way of life, you know, it's a lifestyle. It's not something you just do, it's something you incorporate into your everyday. That's the beauty of it. It's something mind, body, and spirit.
The foot massage works, man.
And I was, you know, when I was a kid, my mother, when she would get off work, you know, she worked for a telephone company. And back then she was one of them operators, you know, like the board and all that. And when she'd get home like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, she said, go get some rubbing alcohol. And she'd lay on the sofa and she said, massage my ankle and feet. And I'd do it and she'd be out, you know. But she'd get her her rest.
Yeah.
And then she had to get up and cook dinner and all that stuff.
So your mom started you in your...
Yeah, I love doing foot massages.
Just like with our hands, all of our body organs are associated in our feet as well, yes. Right?
Yeah, that's reflexology. Mm-hmm. And then this we do some pressure points in certain areas. I'll talk about them when I get to them, areas of the body. Another cheat notes right here. Yeah, the feet are it's interesting because you have, I think it's 26 bones and 50-something ligaments in your feet, in one foot. So a lot of nerve endings. So, take care of our feet.
Thank your mom for me, please. So your real love is just helping people to learn how to relax.
Yeah. Well, you know, I guess I'll say I want people to feel, I can help people feel the way I feel. Not so much relax, but enjoy. I think that's one of the main goals of yoga is to come to a place of samadhi, and that's peace and joy beyond all, whatever's going on in your life. You may have just lost your spouse or, your child or something like that, but you still being able to have joy and peace in your life. And I think that's when you're like in the vortex. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to introduce the stick here. This is a Thai stick. A lot of them.
Our feet hold us up all day long. It's time for us to do something nice to them.
Right.
This right here is nice.
love getting foot massages too, so.
You know, I think we have a tendency to do more, women particularly, the pedicures than the foot massage, but man, that feels wonderful.
Why not get both? You know, get a foot massage and a pedicure.
Right, right.
Now here's where we get into you were talking about the certain points on the body. So this would be the head. And all along the top of the toes would be the head. And then coming down here, this would be the eyes and the ears. Is this pressure okay? Coming down to the shoulder. This is the diaphragm. The liver is on both sides, even though it's on only one side of our body, but in this you do palpate both sides. So as you get down to the heel area, you're coming into the lower part of the person's body. These are the legs. Like this is your waistline. That little knot, everything across and down is your, your lower body. And this would be considered your spine. You know how the spine is shaped. This would be the head. This is the neck, shoulders, waist, down to the. Not a lot of people of color.
So what would be your message to people of color?
Well, I would say, try it out, check it out. I definitely think we need more, in our life, in our, like I said, in our community. But I think sometimes people would think that this is not something that we can afford, or this is not for us, but all of us need to learn to manage our stress.
Tony, you were talking about touch in our culture, and that it may be one of the reasons why we avoid taking care of ourselves and, with massage or other modalities like that.
Yeah, when I first started massage school back in '92, I went in thinking, all I gotta do is do massage and all that stuff. But I learned that there's a lot more to it, and I learned that in our culture, touch is something that touch is conditional touch. In other words, your, sex, or if it's violent, but we don't do any unconditional touch or any type of holding or anything like that. I remember my parents, my mother and father, I never saw them sit down and hold hands, watch TV and things like that. They were, a husband and wife, but they still didn't touch each other. So I grew up in a family where I didn't experience that. And I think that's one of the things that drew me into doing massage. But yeah, so we don't do a lot of unconditional touch. It's all based on what, you have to give something up for it. And so therefore we haven't learned to receive it, right? And I think that's why a lot of people, and it's documented and proven that infants, when they, after they're born and when they stay close to the mother and they get massaged, they end up having better personalities as they get older and not as stressed. So I just think that and then we live in one of the most violent cultures in the world. We got more people incarcerated, and a lot of people just never learn to have that unconditional touch. It's always expected. It's either sexual or it's violent, or it's not, feel comfortable with, because we feel like, you know, and I think it's the hardest part is receiving, you know, being able to receive that touch without expecting something. You got to give something up for it, you know. So
because of the abuse.
yeah, and so it's a cultural thing. You go to most other countries, you see people walking down the street holding hands and, you know, touching each other, and it's not anything sexual, you know. It's just that they, you know, they're friends and they want to show their love for each other, their friendship through touch. So unfortunately, I remember when I was in massage school, I was living in DC, and I lived in a, you know, pretty rough area, drugs and all that. And this massage school was up in Northwest DC, a predominantly white neighborhood, you know, very, you know, upper class. And I remember after coming from work, going to massage school, and being around in that environment where people were just touching and open and happy and peaceful. And then I come home to my neighborhood and you hear a mother cussing her 5-year-old child out, "Get your ass in the house," you know, that kind of stuff. I'm like, just imagine what that child is, you know, having to experience this, you know, this violent, you know, and how damaging that is for them as they get older. So, yeah, it's unfortunate that's, you know, our culture, we don't do a lot of that kind of touch, except for we're a baby, you know, rocking the baby, you know, cradling and holding and touching because you really care, but you're not expecting anything from that baby, you know, but you're giving, you know what I'm saying? So giving without expecting to get something back.
So what would be your message?
I would say it has to be a cultural change, I guess, you know, but people need to, you know, getting massage and learning to overcome those barriers and overcome that fear of not being touched. Try to work it out that way. Taking care of yourself, you know, honoring yourself, pampering yourself, you know, because you deserve it. You know, you deserve, you know, you shouldn't have to want to get a massage because it's your birthday or whatever, you know. It should be something you use to prevent you from getting sick or a major health problem down the road. So I think it's changing. You know, the West is changing slowly. The East has already been there thousands of years ago. You know, West is changing slowly, but it's still got a long ways to go.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Hill, for
You're
this
welcome.
interview and for
Your
the
foot massage.
foot massage. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for allowing me to give you a
Oh,
foot
God.
massage.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Love and wellness. Life, love and wellness.
So today I have the honor and the pleasure of meeting and interviewing Khalil Payne, who is a acclaimed cellist. And he is performing with various organizations throughout metropolitan Atlanta and Cobb County and different areas. He has a bittersweet story that he's going to share with us as well. So welcome, Khalil. Would you introduce yourself in the manner that you would like to the worldwide audience?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Khalil Payne. I am 14 years old. I also go to Taft Middle School. I'm about to graduate and go into 9th grade, and I'm going to McEachern High School for my high school years. Now, I want to, like as she said, I want to be a cellist when I grow up. I'm going to keep pursuing in this career. And this is my 3rd year playing the cello. Next year will be my 4th year. And that's pretty much it right now. And I do have business cards as well, so I'm rising up to the top.
Very well-mannered young man. So, Khalil, tell me a little bit about your personal life.
About my personal life, I would say that when I was younger, like around elementary school age, around 1st to 2nd grade, I was I was like very playful and stuff like that until something happened where my biological mother was found deceased. She was murdered by my biological father, Jonathan, and that was really heartbreaking. I'm not saying that he did like a lot of good things in the past, but I'm saying that my biological father killed my own mother, and that's like a really heartbreaking thing to have in your life. I tried my best to get over it, and eventually I did. But it was a really hard thing to get over, because like every day you think about it, because I wasn't able to see my biological mother for my 10th birthday, so it was kind of tough there.
So it's still pretty new with you too.
Kind of new. It happened 5 years ago.
Yeah. So what skills or what have you used to be able to get over that loss of not being able to see your mom every day?
My mom had took me to a counselor. Her name is Dr. Mildred first, and then it started getting a little expensive, and it also was kind of far away. So I went to another counselor, which her name is Miss O'Shawn, and she helped me a lot. She helped me so much, and so did the previous counselor. They helped me do things like, they had me do activities and help me find what I would express myself most in. And when I was in 5th grade, they were doing instrument tryouts, so I decided to play the cello, and I'll tell you why a little bit later. But I chose the cello, and through music and through, I would say, writing, like writing poems and stuff, I express myself a lot, especially in music, because like you can really feel the emotions in almost like every note. Like say if you're playing Mozart or Bach, then you can like tell about the emotions, like which emotion that they had, or like what was going on at the time. So yeah.
So you're like at a point where you're parentless, as far as like your biological parents, because your dad is not around anymore, right?
No,
Yeah.
he is currently not with me. I don't think he's in the state of Georgia, actually. He's in Mississippi. But right now, my biological mother, Jennie, yes, she's not here. My biological father, I don't think I'm going to see him again. I doubt it. But I wouldn't say that I'm parentless, because I am adopted by mom. Well, I call her mom. Nadine Payne and Brent Payne, they have adopted me. I'll call them mom and dad ever since they started taking care of me. Really, it was since birth, but they started taking care of me, so I just called them mom and dad. But I would not say that I'm parentless, because they're the closest things to they're the closest people to having parents that I can be.
Yeah, that's why I changed it to biological, because I was like, that was not a good way to say that. So thank you for correcting that. So what does it feel like to have a new set of mom and dad that has adopted you into their family?
It feels like, it doesn't feel that different because they're my grandparents. So I'm kind of familiar with, well, at first I was kind of familiar with them. So I had like nothing to fear about or anything, because I know that they're going to treat me right and everything. And they've always helped me with everything. Like, they've helped me physically, they've helped me mentally, and they helped me emotionally, especially when I was around 9 to 10 years old, because a lot of that stuff been happening, and stuff is starting to get crazy. Like, as I say, in the world, it's starting to get really crazy. So, but they've really helped me a lot. It wasn't like that much different because I'm already familiar with them. So.
Okay. Well, that's good. I just actually saw a special on TV the other day that talked about grandparents taking care of their children because they weren't able to raise, you know, the parents, the actual parents weren't able to raise the children. So it's, you know, it's not uncommon these days because of what's going on. Like you say, the world is crazy.
Right.
Yeah. So how has it affected like your school or anything like that? Were you able to like deal with that sadness and then move on, or you still?
At school, I would say like third grade. Third grade was a pretty tough time. Like, I didn't talk as much to my friends because that ever since the funeral, I had bawled my soul out at the funeral and at the wake. It's kind of like really sad as I'm thinking about it now, because like I literally remember almost everything. Mm-hmm. The worst part at the funeral was that Jonathan was there, along with his friends who helped kill Janice. And Jonathan was lying to me, saying that she died of a cold, and he wanted me to remember him by having some of his sunglasses, and I really don't know what they are. But anyway, it has kind of affected me in third grade. In fourth grade, I was starting to like get over it, but I wasn't as social. Fifth grade, I was extremely social. Like, literally every single person, almost every single person in the fifth grade I talked to like 24/7. And like sixth grade to eighth grade now, I'm just like literally everywhere. Like, I got people's phone numbers and text them 24/7, literally. So, it has affected me like when it recently happened, but now it doesn't, because some of my friends are helping me get through. My friends are helping me get through and get over the tragedy that happened 5 years ago.
So what advice would you give a young person that's in either an abusive relationship, you know, as far as their parents go, the parents are not getting along and they're at each other, or they experience a tragedy like you did?
I would say, first, never give up, and second, I would say just like be dedicated, and because you know that there's a way out, because God had you on this earth for a reason. So I would recommend that you just read the Bible every day and pray every day, and do your best not to have like any reason or anything to do with what they're doing to you, and to like think outside of the box, so that not just to outsmart them, but I'm saying like so that you won't be getting in as much trouble as what they would say. And I mean, I would just say keep your hopes up, because if God can make a way out of no way, and it may not, like in that song, it may not be there when you want it, but it'll be there right on time.
Wise words from a young person. Thank you for that. Yeah, because you know, I know children or youth, that young people that have family issues that they have to deal with, So they don't know who to turn to or what to say or you know, like how to act and how to get through it. So I thank your advice. And even for the parents that's looking at this this webinar, you know, they may put a check on what they do in front of their children.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's important. It's an important message that you have to share. So tell me, you're going to tell me about why you chose the cello.
Yes, ma'am. So in 6th grade, I was trying out the violin, and no, it was kind of small. It's like a lot of work, because I don't want to have to hold it up, and then my fingers have to be like so close together. And so I was like, no, viola. It was a little bit better. It was bigger. My fingers weren't as like close together, but I still had to hold it up, and I didn't like that. So I wanted to do the cello. I wanted to see how the cello was like. I saw how big it was, and I got a little bit nervous. It was not a full size. It wasn't like as big as this one, but so I tried it, and then I had no idea what I was doing, but I felt like some kind of connection with it. So that's like a good sign. And also I didn't have to like do that much work, and then it's like around, like I don't have to stretch out my hands a lot. I don't have to keep it too close. So that was good. That's if I wanted to try the bass, and after I saw how big that was, I was like so scared. So I didn't want to do that. So I mean, it was bigger than I was, and it's still bigger than me. So yeah, but I actually do play a little bit of the bass now. Like I learned a few notes and a few songs on there. So I'm starting to learn different instruments, but this is the best instrument in my opinion.
So what other instruments are you learning to play?
I'm thinking about learning how to play the viola, the bass. Eric taught me a few songs. Well, my friend Eric, he taught me a few songs on the bass. He also taught me how to play different strings and different fingerings and stuff like that, also on the bass. So I would say like around when I get to college, I would learn how to play the bass, almost on full level, and viola, I'm not so sure about that yet. Like I might learn it, I might not. It's like the same notes, but just different fingerings.
What about the guitar, something like that?
Are
you more like an orchestra type of?
I like orchestra, more orchestra.
Cool, cool. So, if there was like one phrase that would help young people out that are going through difficulty, what would you tell them?
Good question. That's going to take a while.
Okay.
For me to think.
Okay. Well, you can come back to an answer to that one.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because you know we all need that help, and I noticed like in the beginning you just got into your cello, and that was so beautiful. And so you tell me a little bit more about the emotions you were talking about.
About the music?
Yes.
Yeah, so you could tell like what emotions the composer had. Now, for being a composer, now you don't usually think that people would know how you feel or like what situations that you have been in. Like say if Nimrod by Elgar, that's a very beautiful piece. His friend had passed away, so he wrote that piece for his funeral. And it was a really beautiful piece. I played a Geiso, Georgia Youth Symphony Orchestra, best program by the way.
Speak up.
Best program by the way. We played it so beautifully at the concert that we made our conductor cry. So, but it was really beautiful, extremely slow, but very beautiful.
So what's the name of the group again?
Georgia Youth Symphony Orchestra. I'm in Philharmonia, which is the second top orchestra. I also got first chair. That was the first time of me ever auditioning for Geiso.
awesome.
That was the prelude of the first cello suite that I was talking about, the jump roping thing and showing on the part.
You really love your music too, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, good, good. Well, is there anything else you want to share with us? Words of wisdom, words of encouragement, support? You want to play us another song?
I did learn, it was like one page of it, but I did learn, well, like a little bit of a concerto, Seisson cello concerto. I want to say a little bit about it. So this is the first page of the first movement of the Seisson cello concerto. Seisson is a French composer, and to me, he is very talented. He composed his first piece when he was 3 years old. So that's a really good person. That's a really good composer. But anyway, this is his cello concerto, and the one in A minor. And this is kind of like the one where it's almost, I wouldn't say happy, but like a regular day, but like a kind of rainy day, but not sad. But it's extremely fast, and it's kind of crazy at some points. But I really enjoy playing this one because like you can go fully crazy on this one.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, that was cool. Thank you so much, Khalil Payne.
Thank you. Thank you. For
And
having me.
so, before we close up, just explain to me some of the awards and recognition that you've received for your work.
In 7th grade, I've composed my own piece. It's called Thrive From Murder. This is explaining like how I was from 3rd grade all the way till that time in 7th grade. And I've received first place award in Reflections, PTSA, Reflection of Cal County. I have learned 3/4 of a prelude in 1 week, 3/4 of a page of a concerto in less than 1 week. I have made it into GAISO, first year, first chair cellist, and this is out of the state of Georgia. I made it to the 2nd round of All-State, made it into on orchestra both years of 7th and 8th grade. I've made it into 9th chair of the top orchestra last year, and this year I've made 2nd chair in the top orchestra. I've also received some awards from the orchestra at my school. I have also did 2 solos in GAISO, and I did 2 solos at school, one last year, one this year. I've performed at numerous events as well, so it doesn't like matter where it is as long as it's not like super far. But I've performed at like country clubs. I've performed at I will hopefully perform at a wedding, but I did perform at sometimes at schools, at parties, and different events. I haven't played at a banquet before, I believe. So that was pretty awesome.
You're pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today. and we know that you enjoyed our awesome, incredible speakers, and we certainly appreciate you as being a part of this groundbreaking historic event. And so we invite you to tomorrow perhaps invite a couple more of your friends over, or how about at your church or your synagogue or your mosque, invite people and have a viewing party so that you can have a discussion afterwards. And so we look forward to being with you tomorrow with another group, anywhere from 5 to 7 incredible individuals that's going to share of their expertise, their love, their passion, because you know our speakers cover a wide variety of subjects, and it's things that you can immediately put into effect in your life. So thank you for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Love and wellness. Life, love and wellness. Life, love and wellness.
And that's what I want, more just what I need.